English facilitator at Regions 2 and 17. Today, I'll be talking about learning objectives in our English lessons. So, whenever we teach a lesson in English, whether face-to-face or online, as we are doing these days, what do we need to teach as teachers of English? What are our cues? And what do we understand by cues? That is to say, what do we want our students to know or learn, understand, and do as a result? According to the communicative approach, we want our students to learn how to communicate effectively in English. So, what should our cues be in our English lessons? Should we teach grammar or vocabulary, or both? But have a look at this sentence. I saw a girl with a telescope. I'm sure we can all agree on the literal meaning of this sentence, right? We understand what I means, saw a girl with a again telescope, right? But how can we know for certain that it is the girl who was using a telescope, or rather the man who saw the girl was looking at her or saw her by using a telescope? As we all know, there are several levels of linguistic analysis, such as phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics, as you can see in this diagram on the right. We find language at the top, divided into structure and use. And in between we find pragmatics. Under structure, medium of transmission, grammar, or semantics, the science of meaning. Under the medium of transmission, phonetics and phonology, the sciences of sounds, right? Grammar, morphology and syntax. Meaning, or rather semantics, the meaning related to the words in a language, the lexicon, or the meaning of discourse or of different texts. As you can see, we find the different linguistic levels again here. Phonetics, or the study of speech sounds, any sounds we can hear. Phonology, or the study of phonemes, those sounds that bring about a change in meaning. Then comes morphology, and the study of how those sounds, especially phonemes, combine into words. Syntax, how those words combine into phrases and sentences. Semantics, the literal meaning of those phrases and sentences. And finally, pragmatics, meaning in context. So, what should our cues be in our English lessons? Maybe we should teach something other than grammar and vocabulary. Maybe we should teach, communicative competence. And by this we mean grammatical competence, discourse competence, social linguistic competence, and strategic competence. By communicative competence, we mean the degree to which a communicator's goals are achieved through effective and appropriate interaction. Here we find the components of communicative competence again. Remember, linguistic or grammatical, discourse, sociolinguistic, and strategic. By linguistic competence, we mean understanding and using vocabulary, language conventions, grammar, punctuation, spelling, and syntax, for example, sentence structure. By discourse, we mean understanding how ideas are connected through patterns of organization, cohesive and transitional devices. By sociolinguistic, we mean having awareness of social rules of language, for example, formality, politeness, directness, non-verbal behaviors, cultural references, for example, idioms, expressions, background knowledge. By strategic, we mean using techniques to overcome language gaps, plan and assess the effectiveness of communication, achieve conversational fluency, modify text for audience and purpose. So all of these are part of communicative competence, the ability to understand and use language effectively to communicate in authentic social and school environments. Communicative competence, remember this, the umbrella term under which we find linguistic or grammatical, discourse, sociolinguistic, and strategic competence. So we should teach this as well as reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Or, that is to say, the 4 macro skills. Remember macro skills. We can divide them into written, such as reading and writing, and spoken, listening and speaking, or receptive or input, such as listening and reading, and productive or output, speaking and writing. But how do we teach these 4 macro skills? By having our students practice micro skills, as I'm sure you always do in class. Think about reading. For example, how do we go about teaching reading in class? By teaching, for example, skimming and scanning. Remember skimming, reading quickly to get the general idea, and scanning, looking quickly for one thing in particular. These are only 2 out of a number of micro skills or sub-skills of reading. We also find many sub-skills or micro skills under the other 3 macro skills. And this is how we manage, or that is the idea at least, how we can develop the use of these 4 macro skills in our students. So, once again, what do we need to teach as teachers of English? Remember, we want our students to learn how to communicate effectively in English. So, we need to teach the 4 language macro skills, such as reading, writing, listening and speaking, and communicative competence, or grammatical competence, discourse competence, social linguistic competence, and strategic competence. And we should bear this in mind whenever we teach English, right? Whether face-to-face or online. Now, if you'd like to have access to some related materials, or if you'd like to ask any questions or make any comments, you can visit our Facebook group, Apoyo Escolar desde el CIIE, Área Inglés. Here's the bibliography in case you'd like to have a look at it. And finally, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you found this video useful. See you!